Let's talk about counterbalance on a tractor. Adding weight to the back of a tractor to make the front of the tractor work more efficiently and safely. But before you do, please subscribe. If you like this kind of stuff, I'd be honored if you would please hit that subscribe button. All right, now let's get to it. Let's talk tire ballast. The reasons for getting ballasts or reasons why you may not want to, believe it or not, there's some cases where it's not a good idea. And what types of ballasts are available, some pros and some cons, and let's talk about it. The obvious reason for wanting to counterbalance the back of the tractor is when you're picking something up heavy in the loader, or if you have pallet forks on or whatever, you're doing anything with the loader and it gets heavy. When it reaches its capacity, the back end of the tractor comes up. When Coyote or anybody else rates what a loader will lift, for example, an Coyote NX series, NX, they're about 2761, 2,700 pounds. They're not saying that at 2,762 pounds something breaks. They're saying 2,762 pounds is when the tractor does this. Now that rating of 2,761 pounds, or if it's a non-Coyote, whoever tractor it is, whatever the number is in perfect conditions, and all they're saying is that you could put 2,761 pounds in the bucket, and at the pivot pin right here, which means the bucket is curled back, it will lift 2,761 pounds. Anything you do with the tractor other than sitting still on solid concrete and lifting without moving the tractor, without turning the wheels, without doing anything, if you're doing anything other than that, which means if you're using the tractor, counterbalance is typically a good idea. It will keep the tractor from, doing something that you don't want it to do. And this will happen especially on if you're driving and you're going through some rough ground, or you're going uphill, downhill, or the worst is when you're turning. That's when bad things can happen. Doing this isn't the worst thing in the world. In fact, you'll do it. In fact, you'll do it more than you think you might. You'll be lifting something up and you'll feel the rear of the tractor rise, and it's not the worst thing in the world. It means you're being too aggressive. You can't lift that. But if you're moving, and especially if you're moving and you're turning, you might not be able to control the tractor when that happens. There's many types of counterbalances you can buy, or you can add to the tractor. Typically, people would automatically, want to fill the tires, and that's generally, for a variety of reasons, that's generally the best way to go. There's a lot of things you can put in the tires, and I'll go through some of the main ones. Right off the bat, water, just plain water. Water has the advantage of being, cheap, the cheapest of the things I'm going to mention, and the obvious potential problem is it freezes. Water freezes. Also, water rusts eventually. So you can mix water with ethylene glycol, which is antifreeze, and it won't freeze. It's fairly inexpensive. The detriments on that, again, you may have a rust problem, but the main thing is the ethylene glycol is it's nasty. If you get a flat, all the stuff runs out, of course, and it can poison the ground. It can, if an animal licks it, it's not good for them. But it's an inexpensive option, a relatively inexpensive option. The next one that you might consider would be water and calcium chloride. This was the go-to for decades. Calcium chloride, salt, but a salt that actually mixes with water better, and it stays mixed. Calcium chloride is very inexpensive. In fact, when you throw those white pellets on your icy driveway, that's what it is. It's not really salt, it's calcium chloride. That is super cheap, and it clearly works. It doesn't freeze, but that is very, very corrosive to the rims. Of all of these things, that's probably the worst option. It adds some weight to it, and it's very inexpensive, but it's highly corrosive to the rims. Another one is water and methanol. If you're going to do water and anything, water and methanol is probably the best. It gives you some weight. It's mid-priced. It's not terribly expensive, and it doesn't have a lot of harm. In fact, if you dump it on the ground, it is just grain alcohol, assuming your dog doesn't come and drink a whole bunch to get drunk. It's really not unsafe. It's unsafe for the people that install it, because they have to have these huge tanks of 180 grain alcohol, which is highly flammable. But as far as putting it in your tractor, other than the slight chance that since it has water, it may rust. There's really, water and methanol, if you're going to do water in anything, is the way to go, in my opinion. Water and anything, or water by itself, weighs 8 pounds per gallon. And that's something to consider. There's another thing you can add to the tires, and it's what we sell, and it's what some other companies sell, and that is beet juice. Specifically, we sell Rim Guard, which uses beet juice. And what is beet juice? You hear it and you're like, what, huh? Well, sugar beet juice. The sugar beets are grown for, that's right, sugar. And when the sugar is extracted, what's left over is this thick liquid glop that is just a waste byproduct of the sugar beet, and it's heavy. It weighs 11 pounds per gallon versus 8 pounds for water. It weighs 11 pounds per gallon. It doesn't rust. It's not poisonous. It's more expensive than any of the ones I've mentioned here. Not a whole bunch more, but it is more. I should mention that beet juice is let me go through some of the freezing points of the various things I mentioned. Water, well, clearly 32 degrees. If you're watching this in Canada, it's 0 degrees. But 32 degrees on water. Water and calcium is it protects to the lowest temperature of -60. So if you are taking your tractor in Antarctica, I would put up with the rust and take the water and calcium at a -60 degrees. Water and methanol is -20. And then water and antifreeze, ethylene glycol, and beet juice. So water and antifreeze or beet juice are both down to -35, which should be just perfect for anybody. As I said, we sell beet juice, and I'm not here to wave the beet juice banner, but of all the ones I've mentioned there, it is the one that really has no negatives other than it costs a little bit more. But there are other ways to counterbalance your tractor. The cheapest way, other than water, would be hanging an implement off of the back. Does kind of the same thing. If you had a rotary cutter installed on the back, say a 6-foot rotary cutter, weighs about 700 pounds, 800 pounds, and it's since it's a long device, it is adding quite a bit of counterbalance. A box scraper that weighs 400 pounds is also a good ballast. It's not a whole lot of weight, but it's something. The disadvantages of both of those are clearly labor. Nobody wants to, go and put a 3-point implement on a tractor just because you're going to do some loader work. And the fact that, when you're doing loader work back and forth, you are adding some size to the back of the tractor. If you have a 6-foot rotary cutter on the back, it ends up sticking back there about 10 feet with the wheel and the hitch and everything, and that's quite a bit of swinging around that you have to be, cognizant of, that it's back there. But it doesn't cost anything because you've already got implements. The other one that you might consider would be wheel weights. Wheel weights are by far the most expensive because, cast iron ain't free. Coyote, for example, on a tractor like that, you can buy on an NX, NS, and DK. And I'm only speaking Coyote, and I can only speak to Coyote. But these are the 45 to 60 horsepower tractor, and I would imagine this is a similar. What I'm about to say is similar in the Kubota world, Deere world, New Holland, whatever. On a 45 to 60-ish horse tractor, and in particular on a Coyote, the wheel weights weigh 80 pounds each. A Coyote of that size can accommodate up to 3 per side, so you can buy 6 weights of 80 pounds apiece, and that would add 480 pounds, which is not impressive. 480 pounds, especially considering the price. Each one of those weights is $172, and so to add 480 pounds to the tractor would cost $1,032. That's a tremendous amount of money for not a whole lot of weight. The advantage to those is they are there. If you ever get a flat, you don't have to refill them. It's just not a lot of weight, and it is a lot of money, but you can do that. So those are it. You can liquid fill the tires, you can hang an implement off on the back, and you can add wheel weights. Each has an advantage, each has disadvantages, whether it be price or its corrosiveness or its poison or whatever. So good and bad in everything. And as I said, does your mom know how to text? Mine does. There may be a reason not to fill the tires, and here's the reason not to fill the tires. Let's say that you're buying a tractor that weighs 5,000 pounds, and you have a trailer with a gross vehicle weight rating of 7,000 pounds. Now that means you can haul, the trailer weighs about 1,800 pounds, so 7,000 minus 1,800 is 5,200. The trailer can safely haul 5,200 pounds. Awesome. Put your 5,000 pound tractor on it and off you go. Unless you add 1,000 pounds worth of weight to the tires. Well, now you're 1,000 pounds over. So if you have a trailer or a truck, that they have their capacities too. If your trailer or your tow vehicle won't accommodate that extra weight, then you just simply can't have it. What you could do for, in that case is to carry a box scraper in the bed of the truck, and then when you get to where you're going, you could, use the loader to take the box scraper off, hook the box scraper up, and, add 400 pounds. But other than that, there isn't a whole lot of choice. So either, get a bigger truck and trailer, or, keep the tractor lighter. And that's a little unfortunate, and hopefully that's not the case, but it oftentimes is. Now, my Chevy Apache here will tow anything because it's cool. We need to also talk about price. As I said when I was talking about rim guard of the liquids that you could put in the back of your tractor in the tires is the most expensive of the liquids. It's not much more, but it is more. For example, this is a little bit of an estimate on the price because I don't sell methanol, but let's say you were filling the rear tires, the rear ag tires of a Coyote DK, NS, or NX. Water at 8 pounds a gallon weighs 784 pounds. So you'd be adding 784, let's call it 800 pounds. 800 pounds to the back of the tractor, and I'm guessing that would be about $400 for someone to do that, like a co-op or whoever you'd get that from. So about $400, and it adds 800 pounds. Rim guard, which weighs 11 pounds per gallon, uses you would still use that same 98 gallons in a Coyote DK, NS, or NX, and but it would weigh 1,100 pounds. And when 300-pound increase, and it weighs 500, it costs $530. So it's $130 more, but it is sugar beet juice, which has no negatives. It weighs more, and as I said, so what is that? About a 25% premium on the price. Weights are by far the most expensive. As I mentioned in that same scenario, just to add 480 pounds would cost $1,032. And of course, adding an implement doesn't cost anything except your labor. So that's kind of what I know about ballast. Generally a good idea. There's different ways to do it. There's from all the way from free to you know, over $1,000 in the scenario that we're talking about. And you know, I sell rim guard, and I like it. It never, you know, I don't think anybody ever regrets buying it. It's heavy. It's you know, it's sugar. You're not going to poison the ground or your pets or anything else if and when you have a leak or a flat. So that's what I know. Hopefully this was of some help, and thank you for watching. Please subscribe.